Hi guys, this is Dan from the Investment ABC, and in this video I will give my opinion about when the debt bubble bursts. Most of us who listen to these kind of videos on YouTube know that at some point the debt bubble has to burst. Even more and more people who don't know what is really going on feel that something in our economy is not right. I will try to explain my thought process on when this system will ultimately reset. Right now, we are in the midst of the biggest economic experiment in history. Our economic system had to collapse during the GFC if the Fed did not invent some new monetary tools. Their main invention was quantitative easing, called QE. The Fed just created a tsunami of new money and started to buy all sorts of assets from the banks which were desperately in need for capital. Like this, the balance sheet of the Fed increased from 870 billion in August 2007 to around 4 trillion now, and at the same time, the interest rates and yields on financial instruments like bonds or mortgages fell to almost zero. The banks took all the fresh printed money and loaned it out for almost zero interest, and consumers who wanted to buy properties or cars, for example, took on more and more debt. So it is no surprise that all assets kept rising and rising until the beginning of 2018. Unfortunately, only the rich possess financial assets, so that just little money is trickling down to the majority of workers. And exactly this is the reason why we haven't seen high inflation rates or hyperinflation yet. Because only the wealth of the rich is increasing, and the rich are not buying more necessity goods than needed. The velocity of money did not increase significantly. Money is mainly in the account of the rich and keeps compounding there, but it is not used for panic buying goods yet. The Fed knew that they had to try to normalize rates at some point and unwind the balance sheet by going into quantitative tightening. In October 2017, they started to sell the securities back into the market and withdrew the liquidity out of the markets like this. What happened was a terrible year 2018 for all risk assets and the world economy, which is slowing down in early 2019. The market kept crashing even harder in January 2019 until the Fed gave investors their confidence back that the Fed will be more flexible and patient with the rate hikes. Furthermore, the ECB said that they are not going to stop QE yet, although they wanted to. And the People Bank of China injected billions into the economy in January 2019 and also plans its own version of QE now. On top of that, a Wall Street Journal article came out today stating that the Fed might pause the balance sheet unwinding, which was on autopilot just a couple of weeks ago. When we look around the world, it doesn't matter if the Fed is unwinding its balance sheet or not when all other central banks are doing QE and buying up assets. The world is globalized and money is finding its way into the stock and property markets. If the Fed continues to increase the balance sheet and buy more assets, property prices and rents will increase further and further. At the same time, wages won't increase by the same rate because the rise in rents is artificially created by cheap money. If people have to spend most of their income for rent, they can't spend more money on other things. And since the spending of one person is the income of someone else's, the whole economy is slowing down. The earnings of the major companies will start to decline slowly, but the share prices will still be bought up by institutions with cheap money and stay at elevated levels. QE will create a two-tier society, the haves and have-nots, and at some point the wealth inequality will get so bad that people are either voting for communist or fascist parties to solve their problems. These parties will try to buy the affection of the masses by either taxing the rich like crazy or printing even more money than before, which will ultimately lead to a loss in confidence and hyperinflation. I don't see any other way around this if the central banks continue their path of QE. The next elections in the US will be in 2020. Germany and France will have their elections in 2021. We will definitely see some surprises during these elections. Our whole economy is unsustainable and will reset at some point, and we are not that far away anymore. Everything takes longer than most people think, but the reset will come when the masses can't stand the pain anymore. We can see first signs of people getting fed up with the current system in France and its yellow vest movements. Expect similar movements around the world. So where are we headed in 2019 now? If the central banks are continuing their QE spree, we may see a blow-off top in 2019 with the Dow surpassing 30,000. The markets are like a Viagra addict. Give him the drug and it keeps rising without a pause, but when the effect of the drug is fading, it falls like a rock. Investors don't care about fundamentals anymore, since fundamentals do not matter. Only liquidity does. We will see in March 2019 what the Fed will do. In my eyes, rarely there was a better time to buy gold and silver than now. Diversify a little bit into these metals to store some wealth. They are severely undervalued compared to other assets like bonds or properties, and when the system resets, precious metals are always playing a role in the beginning of the new currency to establish trust. Like always, this is no financial advice. Please do your own due diligence, guys. This is just my own opinion. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and share this video to educate as many people as possible. Thanks guys, and see you soon.